crushing it at the very top level. So excited to see how Biofrost is going to perform today against C9 rather. Especially, you know, Bunny Fufu and Sneaky were smashing CLG last week when we saw them. So be interesting to see how that matchup goes.
And just to talk real quick as Champlet's going on, looks like the graphics aren't working right now, but the bans are Karma and Rise for C9 right here, and the Olaf for TSM. So if that comes up in the near future, you'll have it on your screen. But now the next ban up is Kindred. So far, two sort of jungle bans. We do see some top Olaf. Haven't seen it yet from Impact, though.
Yeah.
But again, TSM with two jungle bans. So yeah, we're going to switch over the different feed to the champs like as it is right here. And now you get to the bans.
Meteos has played Olaf a little bit, so you know that's something that they obviously want to take away. I think that they're trying to narrow down the kind of jungler pool here to something that they're more comfortable with. And I'll be interested to see if TSM is going to take Nidalee off the table as their last ban. That seems to be kind of the theme, what they're doing so far. And I think that to leave Nidalee open for that first pick would be interesting. And they're going to do it taking Vladimir away. Will that Nidalee even be taken? You know, this could be something just saying, you know, hey, Meteos isn't going to play it anyway. We can leave that open, you know, give up the Rek'Sai. But if they get that Nidalee, that's going to be pretty nice for them.
Well, it doesn't even seem to care about Nidalee that much, though. You're seeing the Rek'Sai grabbed up right away and a hover on Elise really quickly as well as on top of the Kha'Zix. So, yeah, it seems like the priorities are shuffling around. A nice hover on Alawi.
Love it.
Yeah, it's certainly a good champion, of course. I think Victor also is another one to sort of think about getting played right here. Of course, still on 6.11. Yeah, actually, Zyra is huge as well. And
Zyra has traditionally been banned very frequently in the LCS. That has shown itself as one of those premier supports. Very, very strong in lane, good scaling into the late game, good pick potential as well. Would not be surprised to see something like that Zyra getting picked up. Victor is also solid. He matches up pretty well against everything. There's a lot of options here. As far as jungle goes, you do not need to take your jungle first round now because Rek'Sai's already gone. You can pick up Nidalee later if you want it. You can pick up Graves, one of the tanks, just based on what you're going to need.
Well, they're going to pick up a tank in the support role. Actually, no care for the Zyra, but Aurelia top lane, early picked here for Hanser. And it does seem to me that a lot of teams seem to have Aurelia as this S-tier champion in the top lane, where I see her picked first round by teams that really believe in their top laners. Teams like Immortals, teams like TSM, where they're like, yeah, Hanser, Huni, you can carry us. Go take this big, awesome diver fighter girl.
Aurelia is fantastic, has a good laning phase, good scaling, massive pick potential, especially in the late game. If Aurelia can get on your AD carry, they can absolutely delete them. Split pushing kind of has a little bit of everything. Pretty excited to see. Wow.
Yeah,
those are actually locked in. So wow, Shen Bard. So Shen is not something we've actually seen a ton of, but it is a pretty powerful pick.
We're seeing it into Aurelia specifically. I remember back casting my last Apex series, Ray picked that into the Aurelia matchup, tried to win it, they still lost the game. But this is, I think, the third time in NA that I've seen specifically Shen picked into Aurelia. It seems to be the intended counter matchup. I haven't seen it work out all that well yet, but it seems to be what every top laner believes.
I also do really like Shen in coordination with the Rek'Sai. It does give you a lot of global presence. Your ultimate, as well as Rek'Sai's ultimate, allows you to move around the map. You can kind of use that Rek'Sai as a way into the fight if you want to do 4-man dive spot, things like that. It's something that TSM is going to have to be very aware of. Bard as well, very strong pick. I think it makes sense as kind of the other champion that had been picked by Bunny is Thresh, and it's not really great into Braum. I kind of like this lane matchup for them.
Yeah, I think if you're a great Bard player, Bard is the best support in the game. It feels like he does so much. The skill curve is super, super steep. You've got to learn a lot of things about him, but it feels like he does so many things. He's almost like the new Thresh. Like back in 2013, everyone wanted to play Thresh all the time because he could do everything. Bard feels like a little bit of that now, and Bunny definitely great at the champion. Roster gets lined up now. Ashe and Victor does come through, so Bjergsen did not want to take any early mid lane picks. They want to give him the counter pick, which means that Victor comes through to C9, and now it's for Bjergsen to counter.
So solid draft from C9. Really looking good, honestly. I think they have a lot of mixed damage. They do have good pick potential, Bard ult, Ashe ult, the global impact of their jungler and their top laner, and now it is going to be down to Bjergsen, see what he wants to match up into this. Vladimir has been taken away, but there's a lot of options still out there. Be excited to see if he did want to play an assassin, but that has not really been much of what we've seen lately, especially since their team is pretty low on wave clear. Exactly. I expect him to be playing something that is going to be able to deal with that a little bit better. And Zilean does make sense, especially with Aurelia.
Certainly the case. Yeah, you follow up CC off of a Braum ulti, double bomb comes in for sure, and it makes it really hard to dive you here. So TSM looking like a bit of a 1-4 type of split push situation going on. C9 actually only one teleport for themselves as well. Jensen seems to be running Summoner Heal. And that's going to be the case as we make sure the swaps come through. I would not be expecting anything else new. Bjergsen actually is running teleport himself, and unless that gets changed, we'll actually have a lot more map mobility. Well, a lot of map mobility, I guess, to be able to TSM. C9 still do have 2 global ultimates to travel themselves around the map.
I think it makes sense. He's probably just going to want to try to farm it out against Jensen anyway. I don't think on Zilean you're really looking to get a solo kill or anything on a Victor.
Yeah.
Take the TP, be able to base early, pick up components, be able to just get through the lane, and then later in the game it's going to allow you to have more mobility around the map, be able to TP in, try to answer some of the Shen's global presence.
Right, so we'll see how these compositions actually fight each other. I'm personally interested in seeing Shen versus Aurelia battling out back and forth, because I think those going to be a pretty compelling matchup here in this game. Now, you guys at home, lock in your votes for the team you think is going to take victory in the first game of this matchup by jumping on Twitter using the hashtag C9win or hashtag TSMwin for which team it's going to be here. Bunny Fufu again on his Bard, and he's won almost every single game he's played in the champion. TSM with the new support Biofrost on the Braum himself, and TSM as the reigning sort of top dogs in North America based on record. We'll see if they can do anything more for themselves as we get ourselves into game 1.
Both supports going to be taking exhaust here too. That's something that has been a little bit less common, I feel like, this split. A lot of people are playing these aggressive range supports, and as a result, you see a lot more Ignite, places where they think that they can bully it out, get an advantage, but exhaust making a lot of sense here, especially I think for Bunny with a lot of diving threats like the Aurelia, like the Nidalee, who can get in there and really kind of blow up Sneaky.
I want to jump to a quick non sequitur. I asked earlier, do they speak Danish or English to each other? The game starts and Jensen says, Held og lykke, which I don't know what that means, but I assume it's Danish for something like good luck.
Flawless pronunciation, I'm sure.
I'm sure it was wonderfully deficio. Please tell me how poorly I did. I'm sure it was bad. You're probably still awake at this hour. And we are into the game, though. Double lift. Oh, doesn't kill the trinket ward.
Double lift back on the Lucian. This is something that he has really been prioritizing a lot. He loves Lucian. It's kind of fallen down a lot in priority as far as most AD carries do feel about it. But he is a guy who just keeps going back to it. He feels so confident on it. He loves the aggressive playstyle, loves being able to kind of dive in and out of these fights on the Lucian. And it's a very strong pick, especially for a guy like him who wants to get aggressive. And TSM spotted out the bot lane. They have no interest in going into this 2v2. I do believe they're going to move themselves up to the top lane and try to avoid it, and I think that's pretty smart considering it is Bunny Fufu on this Bard into a Braum. Not a very good matchup for the Braum.
Yeah, I definitely agree. You can at least keep the Braum or the Bard from stunning you by breaking the projectile with your shield, but it's still not exactly the best matchup here. So we are into the game, and it is going to be a lane swap. Both dual lanes will be taking Krugs to start out the situations here. I actually recently went and did a whole bunch of math on how much XP you get out of those camps, but it won't really be relevant in this game. I'll save it for when it matters. But we have both Aurelia and Shen trying to take a little bit of farm before the duos show up, and actually seeing how much they get is going to be important. Looks like Impact got 3 melees, as did Hanser, so a decent amount of experience for both those players. They are more than halfway to the next level. Keystone looked pretty normal from what I saw, and
yeah, nothing too surprising there. Biofrost is pretty far in here, though, and is getting chunked out. I wonder, no, they're not going to decide to commit to anything. Turns
around as the Q comes through and slows him out. Hanser also amidst some people, but you're seeing he and Svenskeren getting a fair bit of juggling done. It looks like Bunny won't get too much done to them, as it feels like 3 camps were taken from that side of the jungle, and looks like the same kind of situation here for Impact and Meteos. So it's fun watching as lane swaps sort of move around. The key strategy seems to be let your top laner get in the lane, absorb some of the XP, and then join your jungler who is starting with a greedy start, sort of starting near the enemy duo lane. And it feels like in neither case does that get punished. Both the top laner going in a lane and the jungler starting on the air quotes greedy side. And it seems to be a nice sort of continued evolution of how lane swaps are played.
Yeah, the more you can eke out of it as a top laner, the better. Hanser was even gifted, a CS in the jungle on top of the couple minions they did pick up. So a little bit of a difference there, but more just, I think, in reaction to not wanting Bunny Fufu to steal this stuff away. It can be something that is very slow as far as 4 top laners getting going in the start of the game. So any little bit of experience, any little bit of CS that you can get, especially in an edge over your opponent, is going to make a big difference when you do finally meet up in that 1v1.
And it actually matters even in just the jungle clears as well. I I talked about I was doing a bunch of experience math and whatnot. If you take anything but, actually, if you take any small minion or monster away from a jungler, they will not hit level 3 on 3 camps. If you do something like Krug's Red Raptors, you actually level up with exactly 0 XP left. If you do something like Gromp into blue into Wolves, you'll have plus 20, but small minions are worth 30. So in either case, if you actually miss out on one, you level up late, and that can sometimes, you know, slow down your jungle path, or sometimes, you know, affect what an invade could have done.
Little differences can sometimes turn out to be pretty big, as you can eke out these advantages, and sometimes that can lead to something like a first blood or a better lane positioning where you can hold your opponent out, get a freeze, things like that, because you have that level advantage, because you have the XP advantage. So can make a big difference sometimes, but both teams doing a pretty good job. Hauntzer, though, did pick up a lot more farm. He was able to kind of hang around a bit longer as the bot lane duo made the rotation faster for TSM, pushing Impact out, and as a result, he's not going to be gifted as much of that CS.
Yeah, gonna start having to watch what happens with these various top laners. Right now, TSM actually up a substantial amount of gold right now. Just comparing Svenskeren to the Rek'Sai, it's about 100 gold lead for himself, and comparing Aurelia to Impact, so they're 150 there as well. So Impact gonna burn his teleport, and actually it will be that the top lane is now matching up in the one-on-one. Impact doing enough damage to last hit some of these minions here, and it looks like the TSM duo will eventually be joining this Ashen Bard.
So I actually expected it to be the kind of 2-for-2 turret trade.
Yeah.
But TSM opted out of it. They kind of bail out, wanted to get back up to top lane, and as a result, you know, Shen's going to TP bottom, pick up some farm. We'll see. It looks like C9 wants to maybe try to go for something here early on the mid lane.
Seems like kind of low chance. Bjergsen actually building his lane into a freeze right now, so he is not diveable. He holds the push that Jensen put in. As Bjergsen already TP'd back in. Oh, Impact gets stunned up, misses the taunt as well. Now damage on a Hauntzer. Will Meteus go for the flash knockup? I don't think he's gonna be... Yeah, he will go for it, but here comes the Svenskeren and the Nidalee coming in. Nice dodge zone comes up, though. Impact not taking any damage from his Q right now. Burns the cooldown on that one. And another knockout coming through onto the Nidalee, still chasing through, getting damage back and forth. Here comes Aurelia onto that one, dodging away from the taunt. A beautiful flash by Svenskeren. And now Impact is very alone. Bomb on him. First blood goes through to Hauntzer. What a greatly played counter.
A great job there for TSM, and it's going to be a big advantage for Hauntzer. Bjergsen making that rotation faster, but you gotta say, Impact did not play that well. He misses the initial taunt very badly. They decide to chase for it, and Jensen's getting chased down here in the middle. Biofrost has made the rotation.
And he's, ooh, nice dodge in the Q. Jensen always so good at dodging these skill shots. No one ever thinks he's going to turn backwards.
But again, Impact, he also missed the flash taunt after that. So this is something that's very punishing, and you need to be able to land that taunt on the Shen. If they land that taunt, I actually think they get a pretty quick kill before the Nidalee can respond. And we are going to have this run back. And here goes Impact, and he just kind of expects him to go, to keep going backwards. Hauntzer just does the whole position, is able to dodge it. And C9 overcommit. They want to continue going for this, but it's so much time given to Svenskeren to arrive, and Svenskeren, you know, level 5, Impact is just that level 3. He's kind of getting picked on here, and you can already see Bjergsen was making a fast rotation down to the bot lane.
They both flashed it.
Good flash from Svenskeren there to avoid the flash taunt. Impact goes down. At least it is not that 2-for-0, but still, it's going to be a pretty nice lead for Hauntzer early on.
Yeah, definitely agree right here. You're seeing a 1,200 gold lead for TSM, and it's really been well played by these guys. Infernal Drake makes every player happy, and I'm talking about the stats with Drakes. If you actually have a substantial gold lead, Infernal Drake is the best Drake for you, so by a lot. If TSM are going to keep winning, this is actually the best possible pickup for them. Good of them to prioritize, and there we go. Despite an early smite, the red team has slain the Infernal Drake, and TSM can feel really good about their standing in this game so far.
Definitely can. C9 has a strong team-fighting team, though. They have high pick potential. Sneaky level 6 with that Ashe ult online can look for those arrows, and we'll have to see what C9 can do to kind of battle their way back into this game. They're going to need to try to get some picks, get some advantageous fights using some of these ultimates.
This is scary for Impact right now. He level 5, no flash up. Aurelia has TP, and Nidalee's down here as well. Impact, you see how far back he played from the turret. Had the Spidey sense to know he might be getting attacked. Jensen dodges one bomb, trades back into Bjergsen. Actually, a minion betrays him and pulls the damage in. And Jensen had to flash away because Hauntzer is now here. There's a Q in from Nidalee, and it's probably going to be the kill. Oh, and there he goes. Nice one picked up. Ulti by Bjergsen to keep himself alive. And a second kill for TSM. Well played by the roster.
That 3-man collapse on the mid lane, and Jensen actually would have been okay had it just been Haunter and Bjergsen, but Svenskeren nails the spear over the wall, picks up another kill for his team. They get the turret in the bot lane as well. Already have the Infernal Drake. Pretty nice gold lead opening up here, and things looking pretty rough for C9 early on in this one.
So this is funny. There's actually a quote, I don't think we've played it on air yet. Bjergsen says, Meteos will be happy to take a turret shot to stop my recall, and you saw him try it right there. This actually minion betrays Jensen. It blew up on him. It walked over to attack Bjergsen.
And there is the spear over the wall. Svenskeren goes for it. Haunter I actually thought might have been able to pick that kill up, but didn't quite have enough damage. And Svenskeren goes in for the clean execute.
Yeah.
Meteos though farming well. He's keeping even. Sneaky is scaling up. He has very comparable CS to Doublelift. Has a little bit more experience also. So not everything is bad here for C9, but the top lane 1v1 is going to be somewhat of a struggle. One thing I will say, though, if it's okay for any of these lanes to be behind, it probably is the Shen. The Shen is more utility-based. You're going to build full tank probably anyway, and it's more about the map movements, using these ultimates, and I'm really looking for C9 to get a great first round of ultimates here, looking for a pick with the Ashe Arrow, looking for that odd man fight with the Shen ult.
Absolutely, and you're kind of seeing Haunter hold onto his teleport more closely than he might have otherwise to make sure he has the ability to match Impact's rapid map movements. And the thing is, as much as you're talking about, yeah, it's nice, if someone has to be behind, I agree that Shen is probably the best one for it. If he's behind enough, Haunter just bullies him and takes over everything else. There you see Svenskeren take away the Krugs. Impact doesn't get that XP. Quick bit of wave clear, double if not quite landing the culling on Jensen, but looks like TSM starting to play a little bit more aggressively, nearly a 2,000 gold lead for them, plus the Infernal Drake buff. And they really just got more stats than their opponents, as Haunter does push toward the obvious item of Trinity Force.
It is going to be tough for Impact, as you said, if the lead does extend too much. And Impact is having to play so scared because they've lost full control of this side of the jungle. Svenskeren's always in their face, always around there. And he's basically just stuck sitting here by the tier 2, waiting for the wave to push. But as that happens, he's losing so many minion waves, and TSM is rotating down, perhaps looking for something, but they are going to base. And it's 60 CS to 33 right now for Haunter. He's massively ahead. He's going to have a very significant XP advantage too. And if Impact is not able to pick up this farm when it finally starts getting to him, it's going to be really bad.
Definitely agree here. Close one there. Bomb will only land on the minion. That'll be Jensen surviving that one, but you can see how much sort of threat Bjergsen projects. He's happy to wave clear late and make Jensen come into him and fight for the minion wave to risk the chance of a bomb coming through. Meteos takes away the Krugs, and the AD carries have not been part of too much. Don't have the supports. It has been about the solo laners and the junglers making things happen. And the C9 solo laners are the ones who have been killed so far. Haunter, you can see, is currently up 2 levels onto Impact. But you can see the difficulty of the matchup, the threat of the dodge, the Q damage coming through. Impact kind of making it work. And right there you see Haunter goes for the attempted stun. Nothing really happens. And you can see what this matchup is supposed to look like. Even though he's behind, Impact is completely handling this.
He's doing fine. It's also a case where they don't really know where Rek'Sai is at this moment, so they have to be careful about that. And Impact wants to hold this wave off of the turret. He does not want it to bounce. He wants to be able to kind of hold this as long as possible, allow himself an avenue in which to get back into the game, and that's going to be the freeze. And Haunter is having to play scared enough because his teammates are not here on this side of the map. So Impact is actually going to be gifted a bit of a freeze, and hopefully for him, able to get right back into it because of that. As well, mentioning in the mid lane, Jensen has had a CS lead. Bjergsen closing the gap quite a bit, but he was up almost 20 CS for a bit. And although he had died, he's definitely doing pretty well for himself. And we all know Victor is a teamfight monster.
Definitely is. Some threat there. Oh, nice by Svenskeren. Gets the smite steal on the blue buff. Not even sure how he got it. He didn't have vision inside the brush, but somehow maybe it pulled out and chased down Meteos' Rek'Sai. I didn't quite see, but either way, a great blue buff steal. Nicely done by him, and that's going to hurt some of the sort of power that Jensen would have in a team fight. It's not just mana regeneration, it's also cooldowns and ability power.
I think as Meteos actually went out to block the spear, which was really intelligent to deny that kind of smite takedown combo, it did pull out of the bush, allowing him to smite it. So well played there by Svenskeren. Meteos did not have his smite, so not even the option to actually just take it away and deny it from Sven.
And now trying to deny more from the team. Meteos forced to run out of his own jungle as Svenskeren and Bjergsen, the 2 Danes on TSM, getting quite a bit done. And Meteos looks like he's going to get his after anyway. There's the smite. All right, he's going to be okay, but that just means the Krugs goes down. Another did you know, actually, is if you're not underleveled, Raptors are worth the least amount of XP, and Krugs and Gromp are worth the most. So even trading camp like that is actually better for Spencer.
Another Dragon going to be going over here to TSM. C9 has no chance to contest. They know it. They don't have the vision in place. Do not have really any chance of it, so they're not even going to try. I think that's the right call, but 2 quick Dragons for TSM is a pretty nice advantage, especially when you remember if this does go late game. It's a big deal as far as the Elder Dragon even is concerned, increasing that true damage burn from every Dragon stack that you do have.
Yep. The TSM have 2 of the more team fighty buffs right now. All right, movement speed to get into the battle, the actual attack damage ability power to win it. Cloud9 right now still able to play most of the map okay. It feels like Sneaky and Bunny Fufu, I haven't seen them much, but have been able to sort of square off well enough against Doublelift and Biofrost. And this is against an early game spiking champion, right? It's now a Yomu's Ghostblade completed Lucian as a champ that will eventually fall off to below what Ashe can do much later on in the game. Not there's much of a huge clock for TSM, but theoretically that does eventually switch hands.
I agree. I would also say that Ashe is going to struggle against this lineup because it's not a champion with a lot of mobility. So although he should be able to put out more DPS, is he going to be able to in actuality? Because the Irelia can dash and pop him, it's hard to say, right?
That's actually true. We've seen plenty of Irelias just kind of one-shot AD carries. We've seen Jarvans do it as well. Rip my voice.
Pretty scary position here as the Shen too, when you see the Irelia has a completed Triforce before you even have your Sunfire Cape. That feels really bad.
It does. He's got Boots 1. He's hoping he's going to survive the matchup. Haunter waiting in a brush, hoping he sees someone fight for the minions. No one does that just yet, and there's a couple of Blade Surges, a couple of auto attacks. And yeah, Haunter keeping that plus 30 in the farm game. Ooh! Nearly takes it away. Meteos kills that off with the red buff, though, and he does get the Wolves. Jensen does get double bombed into the Q, into everything! He's just going to get blown up! The Bartley not meaning enough. There's Bjergsen getting another kill, taking down Jensen. 3-0 the scoreline now. Bunny forced to run away as well. The TSM continually finding advantages.
Such a good double bomb there by Bjergsen, setting it up for Biofrost. And once that Bard ultimate came in, it was just a little bit too late, did not land on Jensen. But either way, I think he was going down as soon as he got caught. And good follow-up there from TSM, extending that advantage.
Yeah, stun, no follow-up allowed because Jensen is dead. He did have flash up. He just didn't respect the TSM follow-up to get away from the double bomb here. Now, you're seeing Svensker and does get stunned against the wall into the time, into a lot of damage actually. This Nidalee dropped to about 500 HP. Arrows only gonna get Haunter, but that could still be enough. No, Zillion Arrive's gonna come through, and it's still a bit of a 4v5. There is no Victor here, which could mean the opposite now for C9 as they're now forced to run away a little bit. And yeah, a couple of ults burned back and forth. TSM actually missing all of theirs now. Cloud9 can still rely on the fact that Victor will have his as well as Jensen's flash, but not exactly a lot gained by the blue team.
No, close call for TSM. They get out scot-free. I think Sneaky really should have popped that Ashe out of the taunt on the Nidalee, tried to delete him before the team arrives. He kind of hesitated there a fair bit, and as a result, actually landed it on the Irelia, giving time for the Nidalee to escape and survive. And I think had he actually chained that, it would have been a free kill on the Nidalee. C9 could have pressed that advantage, try to get some control back in their jungle, which they really desperately need.
Yeah, I completely agree. I think it was a bit of a mistake by Sneaky not to hit that button a bit sooner. So unfortunate, but that's the way the cookie crumbles. TSM have a Mountain Drake now up for themselves. So those are going to be the 3 that spawn. No ocean this game. Just this little river. Not nearly as impressive. But you imagine that TSM will probably continue to have all the map control they need to make that happen. Right now they are waiting for their ultimates. Biofrost and Bjergsen still missing theirs, and those are pretty important for winning team fights. So once they come back up, we may see them start heading to that bottom side of the map. Meanwhile, on the bottom side of the map, nice flash by Hunter away from the Q, but it's not really going to mean too much. Gets this done. A nice taunt flash does this time land, and the dash just won't mean enough. Finally a kill on the board for Cloud9. No ward coverage for Haunter, and he goes down.
Yeah, good job by Cloud9. Make the collapse, get themselves up on the board, but TSM already looking to respond. They want to take the tier 2 turret.
Looks like they're going to get it, so a kill for a turret, certainly a good trade. TSM can be happy about that one. even if it does hurt Concert.
They're still pushing.
Oh, yeah, they are. And C9 has to react. Suddenly, a late recall coming out of only half the members right now. Bunny Fufu has to flash for the chance of the double bomb. Yeah, this turret's gone as well. You're absolutely right here. And there's a nice Bartley to buy a bit more time because here comes the teleport.
Oh.
It's C9 trying to join in. He's going to get the taunt on his Svensker and a stun and a Biofrost as well. Turret still goes down, but now it's time for the team fight as in comes the battle. Ulti across the top and down goes Impact without ever using his ultimate himself. But now Sneaky trying to find a bit more damage. Biofrost low, landing a slow himself though. That's going to mean the retreat now. TSM get the kill, they get the turret, and they get out. Overall, a hugely advantageous team for the #1 spot in NA.
Nice job by Bunny delaying and kind of buying some time, but still, C9 just basically assumed, they won't go for it. They'll back off. They'll expect us to be there in time, and C9 gets called on the bluff. TSM gets 2 turrets and 2 kills. A pretty huge swing there, opening up the base, especially when the Aurelia is already having this nice 1v1 advantage. That's not what you want to see. You need that turret as your safety net if you are Shen.
And now they get even more because just before it would despawn, Rift Herald now picked up onto Hanser for TSM for probably the rest of this game.
So here it is starting off. Bunny throws down the ultimate, lands a nice binding, and the good taunt does follow it up, but there's no damage here just yet. It's just the Shen. Jensen just now arriving. You can see Sneaky and Meteos just now getting into the fight, and Impact is already gone. They cannot really chase into this. They know Bjergsen still has his ultimate. They know there's a big potential to turn, and C9 cannot afford to chase.
And Jensen hasn't cast a Chaos Storm in the last like 8 minutes or so. He died. TSM got some map control.
He did just use one there.
Oh, he did? Okay. Yep. I guess he got it. You're right, he did. It was at the end of the fight, though, after it was basically already over and nothing really got done with it. Thanks for the correction. That's why you're one of my top 4 favorites, man.
Thank you, thank you.
I got you, dog.
It is definitely one of those situations where Jensen is kind of, he wants to go for these big combos, but there's some hesitation because of the Zillion. You have to say, okay, yeah, normally you would just pop the Nidalee as soon as you can, right? But Bjergsen is there to ultimate him right back to life, and you don't want to waste it. He needs to get a very effective ultimate, ideally hitting multiple targets, so they all just can't be brought right back to full when Bjergsen pops the ult.
But yeah, it's just such a hard situation for Cloud9 because TSM pretty much playing a 1-4 type of game. Bjergsen's always there, and so anyone that C9 engages on, it's like, all right, we Ash ulted the Nidalee. I don't care. Like, he'll just revive, and you wasted kind of more cooldowns than we did. All the damage got reverted for one spell from Bjergsen, and he's still got all the offensive threat he needs. And yeah, it feels like TSM in complete control right now. The last pick, Zillion, definitely paying its dividends. The third Drake picked up there. That was Mountain. And now we'll see if Cloud9 can ever find a way back in. The only kill they've gotten was by 3v1ing Hanser. And that might not happen again.
We've also yet to see Shen ult this game, and that's one of the things where I feel you need to be proactive about it. You need to be moving around the map, using the Rek'Sai, using the Shen, using the Ashe arrow. This is kind of your global threat setup, and if you don't accomplish something with that early, you're throwing away a lot of the power of the champions.
Yeah, the one ult we did see from Impact was when Jensen got basically one shot right away, when a double bomb landed and he just disappeared off the map. And like, he cast it, he didn't arrive because he died too fast. But yeah, we're really not seeing the proactive tools that C9 has do much of anything. TSM have been much better at fishing for stuns, getting everything landed here, and it's been honestly just a better played game by them. It's been, you know, a good game from TSM, and not bad, but just kind of inactive one from C9.
Really feels like one of those games where they got a little bit behind early, and they kind of just say, all right, we're playing for late. And they're just trying to farm up the Ashe. Sneaky's always basically trying to avoid everyone. Just kind of pick up as much farm as experience as possible, allow Jensen to scale, allow Sneaky to scale, and hope that you can get these picks later and you can win team fights off of potentially better scaling.
Yeah, and that's going to be the hope, but the problem is you're down 5,000 gold with 3 Drakes already picked up, and another Mountain Drake, which at the later stage of the game actually kind of means a lot for TSM because that means their Baron baits are really fast. They've already got pretty good Baron team in the first place. You've got 3 decent damage dealers in Nidalee, Aurelia, and Lucian to kind of burn that down. And that seems pretty reasonable for the TSM camp. Difficult to head for C9. We'll see if they can get anything to happen here. Svenskeren, a little point-blank range javelin. Jensen does have to flash away from the bomb, but he actually didn't need to because actually Svenskeren took one of them.
Post call.
Though, a loss of a flash for just a Zillion speed up, and Cloud9 continue to lose resources.
Dude, I'm just trying to think, you know, what is the best way for these guys to get back into the game, and it's seeming tough because Svenskeren has had complete jungle control. We see all the pink wards around Baron already for TSM. You know what their game plan is going to be. Bait out the Baron, look to take it, or look to get the face check in a disadvantageous fight for C9. And ooh, Sneaky stepping forward. He's getting chunked.
Dodge to the right does not take a Braum ulti at all and gets away, so at least one summoner ulti burned rather, but Sneaky did also use the summoner heal to get the movement speed and get away. Trade of resources, that is a shorter cooldown for TSM, but a more important cooldown to have at any given time, so you could kind of call it a present power lead for C9, potentially. Svenskeren making sure the Baron is swept away completely, and you mentioned him briefly. You also talked about him in the early game, or in the pregame, I should say. And yeah, Svenskeren's definitely one of the big reasons TSM is doing well. 100% kill participation, no deaths, has been out jungling Meteos at least a little bit here. But he's been at the right place at the right time, pretty much all stages of the game.
Another thing we haven't touched on, Haunter did get that Rift Herald buff, so he has that in his back pocket. Gonna have that buff for quite a long time, and which will give him the advantage. But TSM starting up the Baron, looking for the 2-man, and I'm not sure if they can actually finish this 2-man. Svenskeren getting very low, and Meteos is coming in.
Meteos could have, I think, seen them running around. Yeah, they've got to jump away. Sven will survive. At least they knew their limits right there. And again, even though they lost a lot of health on 2 members, TSM are far enough ahead that C9 can't do anything. Look where the minions are. Aurelia is crushing the matchup against Impact. Mid lane has no minions right now. Bjergsen kills them too fast, and no one's willing to walk to the top side.
The one thing they do get a little bit of vision back. They're able to move in, clear out some wards, establish some presence around the Baron pit, and that is going to be crucial for C9 because they want to delay. And you need the intelligence, you need that vision to know that you can safely ignore the Baron pit and not face check into something.
Yeah, the nice thing for C9 is even though they lose a 5-on-5, if you've got Baron or even maybe the Dragon on your side fighting, that's a close enough battle that TSM will take that fight knowingly.
Yeah. Especially the later you get into the game, as long as they keep gold relevant. But Svenskeren gonna face check here.
And there's the Ash Arrow. No one's in range yet to save him, trying to jump away. There's Bjergsen, and doesn't even have to pop the ulti. Reflex is good enough to know that there was no damage left coming in for C9. A nice attempt, of course, but Sneaky pops the ulti. Ooh, good dodge by Doublet to get away, but now Bunny's gonna be low. He's gonna jump over the wall. Here's the ulti in. Never mind for this one. And Doublet getting the revive mark on himself. Meteos dangerously low, will get popped down. First kill picked up, and the revive comes through all the same. Bjergsen doesn't really do anything there. A double kill in for double lift on the Lucian. C9 can't get anything done. Now finally a kill in through for Impact. Takes support, still dies down. 3-1 TSM, probably means Baron.
Yeah, it's definitely going to mean Baron, and C9 is looking completely out of sorts there. Bunny, Bard tunnels through the wall as Shen is ulting in. He can't get into the fight. They're going for flash engages on 2 different sides. They seem like they're feeling a little bit desperate, feeling the pressure, and TSM will pick up the Baron and really crack this game wide open.
Yeah, beautiful stuff by TSM. At least C9 get to react and knock down the mid lane turret for all of this, but that's really a very small pittance there because look at this, 6,000 gold up. Drake not available. TSM will probably get that one themselves, and C9 have to lick their wounds.
So here's how it starts. Meteos and Sneaky going for that pick on Svenskeren. Not enough damage, though, coming out. Not even able to force the ult. And then at the other side, Bunny pulls the trigger. He goes for the flash Q onto Double Lift. You're going to see that nicely dashed away by Double Lift, and now here comes the Shen ulti. Out goes Bunny. Now the Shen is in an awkward position. He's not able to join in the fight. He has to actually flash to try to peel for Sneaky. Sneaky is pushed out of the fight. It's just so disjointed for C9 that there was no real chance of them winning that fight, especially when you consider the gold disadvantage. They need to be on the same page. They need to stack the CC to use the ultimates at the right time. It's not happening, and C9 falling apart in this game a little bit.
Yeah, it felt like if we just talked about sort of mechanical plays that were available, Bunny could have like immediately ulted the Zillion ulted double lift and be like, well, if you're gonna revive, we'll just knock you out of the fight for 2 seconds. Jensen wasted all his Chaos Storm damage on the reviving double lift. The damage went nowhere. It actually healed him in the long run there. Felt like finding a way to ignore him, go for Bjergsen instead. Target selection not quite there, but either way, TSM doing a great job of winning this battle, winning this game, maybe even winning the match if it all comes down to it. That Drake's gonna be not long for the world. And there's the pickup, 2 Mountain Drakes. TSM, 20% bonus true damage to turrets and epic monsters. And they'll even get more to do now. Arrow's going to miss. Sneaky under a lot of threat, but at least there's 3 here to stop down Haunter, and they will knock him down. Bjergsen smartly cancels, but still the red buff damage was enough to knock down Sneaky.
The 1v3 kill from Haunter, that is the power of the Aurelia. He says, thank you missed that arrow, I'll take your life.
and definitely does do that despite all the help he got. It does buy some time for Cloud9. Thankfully, a 4v4 is probably a little bit better for them, but Baron buff in is walking in the mid lane. Jensen posturing very aggressively. Looks like he did stun Bunny, but it wasn't going to be enough. Mid lane outer finally goes down 28 minutes in. Somehow Sinan actually got the first one there, but they are powerful enough with Sneaky not on the map. They can do whatever they like. Sven doing some damage to Meteos, pushing him out of the jungle. Mid lane tier 2 gone as well. TSM just in control.
Full control. They can move around the map, now head to bot lane, pick up the last outer if they want, just extend that gold lead even further. They know there's no reason to really go for the jugular just yet because they have double Mountain Drake. They can go back to Baron as soon as it spawns. They can look to continue to extend that advantage. We'll see if they do want to try to go for a dive, really aggressively finish off the game, but I think that Baron is a very valid option. With double Mountain Drake, you can take that up quite easily.
Yeah, absolutely the case. And another Inferno coming in as well, which just feels like a nice pad of stats for these guys at this point. Meteos slowed down. Cloud9 trying to make the defense half, but there's still a good 30 seconds left on the Baron buff. TSM look for the zoning bombs. Will not quite hit impact, but he burned his taunt to actually dodge away from it. Thankfully for Cloud9, they have the wave to get rid of the minions now, but that turret getting whittled down. Baron will time out for the next wave, so it will be just regular minions next time.
Still Aurelia posturing on the side. They do have the ability to go for these dives. Zilean enables them very well. We'll see if TSM wants to go for it.
They might try a Battlecross, puts the shield, blocks a bit of the damage. More zoning bombs. The turret still does go down. And now Meteos forced to run away. Culling is on. Double bomb hits and it stuns Sneaky. Oh, a betrayal of his friend. That's going to be a kill picked up already. Meteos low. Bit of a stun coming across. Bunny now caught up as well. That should be an easy one. And they pick up that second kill after all. Third, actually. Bunny, Sneaky, and Impact. All three are dead. And TSM can make this one happen. Another one picked up. Jensen is gone still. Flash available. Does not seem to matter. This could be the entire game ending. As the bottom inhibitor turret is gone, the inhibitor will follow suit.
They don't have the waves. They may want to go for a double inhib, but they may try to just end it. Looks like that's the plan. Haunter
tanking up the turret right now. Both of them, in fact, just get revived by Zilean. Didn't have to use it during the prior fight, and there goes turret number one. Meteos very alone running back, and he's still going to go down. There's the ace. Biofrost gets a heal, stays alive. Oh, what a night for him. And TSM in a 30-minute game, 13-3 on the scoreboard, in control the entire time. Wow. Hear the chance from the crowd. Yeah, keeping on to that number one spot with a win in game one over Cloud9.
We talk about TSM coming out wanting to prove that they are the best team, the undisputed best team in North America. Well, good step in that direction. Yeah. Manhandling Cloud9 in game one. But it's not over. It is that best of three. And Cloud9 will have their chance to come back.
Yeah, they definitely will. And we've seen C9 come back from game one deficits before. The reverse sweeps, nothing new to that roster, certainly, but that was just a good game of League of Legends by TSM. Honestly, that felt well controlled. The advantages they had, they used them specifically. It was like, okay, Aurelia's winning over Shen. Let's keep that matchup looking good. And they were really patient around making sure their teleport was always up so that he could always match what Shen was trying to do. Just honestly, a super solid game by TSM. I felt like I didn't see anything really wrong from them at all.
I agree. You can nitpick at C9 and say they weren't proactive enough with those ultimates, but at the same time, you have to give credit to TSM for not giving them the opportunities. They played safe, they played smart, knowing that they would have that global presence, didn't give them a chance.
Definitely agree. So a huge, awesome, and well-played win for game one here in this matchup. But for more on that one, let's check in with Dash and Jad.
Thank you very much, gentlemen. TSM, again, continuing to impress here against the likes of Cloud9, coming out of the gate very strong in this best of three.
Yeah, they steamrolled them, and it seems like a pattern now that TSM has just been preparing and are just so focused heading into game ones. You think of their close games is the game two, which they actually lost one to Immortals, and the game threes have been, the game two they had is very competitive, but game one is just 5 times in a row now been a one-sided affair.
Yeah, so if we take a look at how they did that, how they did craft it, let's start with Champion Select. And of course, C9 being on blue side, they do get that first priority. Interestingly enough, they lock in the Rek'Sai with Nidalee still being on the table.
Like I said, a few interesting choices. So obviously the first pick's Rek'Sai, signals that Meteos, A, really wants to play it, and B, they're probably going for a more standard teamfight composition with multiple tanks.
Right.
Also, they got a Bard pick for Bunny, which is another pretty standard play. And like just looking at these team compositions, I think a lot of it favored Cloud9, like if they could stay even and if they could get to team fights. But one of the big differentiating factors was Bjergsen Zillion and like
Very much
Sven
so.
Skarens in Italy, just the way they're able to snowball the game and kind of out-execute. Because I felt like if that game stayed even in gold based on these team competitions with all the squishy and single target damage targets TSM had, they wouldn't have won. But they won it so easily because they snowballed.
I was going to say, and of course, that snowball, it started very early. We saw in the bot lane kind of an unfortunate sequence of events for Cloud9 as Meteos tries to gank for impact in that bottom lane. Had things been executed on 100%, C9 would have been the team with the lead early.
Yeah, Impact, Azale even mentioned in the cast, made a fair number of errors during this one. Misses the first taunt, which means that now Meteos has to flash to get the knock-up. And then I actually really like what Impact did after that because he gets the block down and then he gets the pass-through on the Q here onto Sven Skaren, which means he's doing more percentage true damage. But then he delays his taunt flash. He could have landed that if at the very start of his taunt he would have flashed to get it, but instead it allowed time for Sven Skaren to predict it. He flashed away. By that time, Bjergsen had roamed down. I mean, if he does the proper taunt flash, it was a greedy play anyway. It probably would have been like 1 for 2 or something. But it ended up just being a disaster and giving a really big early lead to TSM.
Yeah, that early in the game, we saw a little bit over 1K gold lead on the side of TSM. That then allowed them very easily to pick up that initial Infernal Dragon, which, you know, when you only have Doran's Blades, doesn't account for a lot of damage, but just as the game extends, you're looking at a stronger and stronger TSM. From that point onward, it definitely seemed like C9 was playing not to lose, right? We're playing a very safe game, and as you mentioned, their goal was most likely to get to 40 minutes at that point, so that more things equalized. That did not happen. TSM playing very smart around the map. That's our next replay. Watching TSM push down the top lane, forcing C9 into a situation in which they have to make the decision to back and guard their turret or try to push for mid.
And this is more impressive because TSM had just swapped control to this side of the map, and they just suffered casualty on the other side. But knowing they have Haunter coming up on Aurelia with the ability to TP in, they feel safe making this aggressive move. And honestly, some delayed recalls by Cloud9, which forced them into some scary decisions. Biofrost ends up getting hit by the Ash Arrow, which means they can't chain it with Sven Skaren. And then when this happens, like, it's still an advantaged fight for TSM because Meteos was flanking around the side. So the play that we saw there seems kind of minor, but they got an extra 2 turrets, they got a kill, and they also secured the Rift Herald right after that for Haunter's Aurelia, which completely took away any split push threat that Impact could have had on Shen. So a really meaningful moment in the game happening there when the gold was still kind of close.
Yeah, kind of one of the, you know, the lights at the end of the tunnel, one of the hopes for Cloud9 was the fact that even while down in CS, down in gold against Haunter's Aurelia, Impact was able to handle him, but handing that Rift Herald over just made his job all that much more difficult in the bot lane in that 1v1. So again, unfortunately, C9 a little slow on the uptake to what was a very good macro move by TSM. Can't take anything away from them. If we push a little further into the game, 26 minutes, this is really where the game broke open. If it hadn't been broken open already, this is, you know, Cloud9 making their attempt at getting a pick and choosing this fight, TSM just turning it.
Sven Skaren already had a Rod of Aegis and a Giant's Belt here, and Sneaky wasn't very fed, so like that's a play where you think you can burst out Sven Skaren, they don't have a chance. Doublelift outplays Bunny Fufu in the heat of the moment, and then TSM makes the aggressive call to continue the fight. Yes, the Chaos Storm is doing a lot of damage on a Doublelift, but Bjergsen had such high efficiency on his Zillion ultimates this game. They easily revived Doublelift right back up. He then pushes Bunny out of the fight. Sneaky had been zoned out of the fight by a very aggressive Haunter. There was actually, even though it was a very scary fight, like I thought Impact did decently that fight, peeling for Sneaky, but it just wasn't enough because TSM was executing at such a high level from a macro standpoint as well as mechanically in these team fights. Like if I'm thinking of the grand scheme of things, like this may have been TSM's best game of the split.
Right, yeah, and it really makes you wonder and fear for all of the other teams in the NALCS that if this team continues to develop this way with what is, you know, a new roster, considering that Biofrost is new, right? So early in the split, that's a terrifying prospect for future games.
Yeah, I mean, even they're talking about it in TSM Legends. Like that was the happiest episode of TSM Legends I think anyone, like the team, the happy music they were playing the whole time. And it's because the team is in a really good groove right now. They're playing incredibly aggressively. They're taking a lot of risks. And so far, all those risks are working. So I do think that they will definitely hit some roadblocks continuing to play this way, but it hasn't happened yet.
I hope so. It's not an interesting season if teams don't hit roadblocks, all right? I like to see contention in the standings. Anyway, we've got to move to player of the game, Sven Skaren, 3-0-9 on that Nidalee. You know, most damage in the game, which is impressive on its own. But on top of that, his awareness to be in the bot lane to help turn that gank. Showing up in the mid lane multiple times to put pressure on Jensen. Although I will caveat that with Jensen was juking and playing about as well as he could have in that mid lane. But when Aurelia's showing up, when Nidalee's showing up, he definitely kind of, he created chaos for Cloud9.
Exactly, and I think this is one thing, when teams snowball games really quickly, that usually starts with the jungler. He got successful ganks off in bottom lane and mid lane, and then the rest of his team could carry. And especially when you're kind of playing into a Rek'Sai's Nidalee, sometimes it can become more dangerous to counter jungle. You have to be a little bit more fearful for your life because Rek'Sai can close the gap on you occasionally. But Svenskeren never let that happen. Very efficient ganks, and was pivotal in Cloud9 in TSM, snowballing on top of Cloud9, and what I think wasn't as great of a team composition if it was even game team fight.
Now, looking ahead to Game 2, I've just received word that, true to Cloud9 summer split fashion,
Swap that support.
Smoothie is back in.
My
So,
goodness.
my question to you, Jet, with this substitution, as well as our evidence from Game 1, changes that we might expect to see out of Cloud9 in order to make it a more competitive Game 2.
Yeah, it's really hard to think, right? And I don't even know if it has to do with the bottom lane. The only thing that I'd want to target right now for TSM, since they have a lot of players that are playing well, is I might as well just ban Lucian or take it away. Like, it's not like it's it's not like it's overpowered or anything, but Doublelift has played it in nearly every game.
Right.
And I feel like he gets these favorite AD carries every once in a while where he just forgets how to play other ones. So if you just get rid of it, like maybe you put him on tilt a little bit and you can get some kills.
Yeah, all right. Well, maybe that's one way to get under TSM's skin. We'll figure out if Cloud9 has come up with any ideas of their own when we come back, see if TSM can take the series or if Cloud9 will send it to a Game 3. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.